KO! No! No! Dreamcast. Hey up, Nice Gamer here. Welcome back to my little Dreamcast project. We're on the second part of this now. We were left off last time. We'd gutted in Time Machine, ripped the GDRom out, ripped the power supply out, replaced the internal battery, and we have a sort of empty shell of a new machine with absolutely nothing to boot on it. As you remember last time, I left off with the dilemma of how to get my GDRoms onto an SD card in the first place so that I can play them in this Dreamcast. Well, my prayers have been answered and I found this little product online called the Kaiko SD Adapter for Sega Dreamcast. Now this is made for booting Dreamshell and predominantly for loading up homebrew software and other things and adding features to the Dreamcast that was sadly lacking at the time because it did not have any storage. Now an added bonus of this that comes with the lovely little adapter we have here on the disc is Dreamshell, and it has a little app in there that lets you back up your GDRoms to a micro SD card in here. When I read that, I thought that's absolute godsend. That is exactly what I'm looking for. We need to back up some of these lovely old discs. There we go, let's go to my old charging blast here. So we need to get these guys onto an SD card using this. And I thought, that's a great idea. The only drawback of this is the amount of time it's going to take to do. Now, I'll drop a time lapse in here of how long it takes to do one disc, and it takes roughly between, depending on what's on the disc, 35 minutes to over an hour. Now, it's going to be a very long task, and I know a lot of you are going to be in the comments going, why didn't you just download some ROMs? That's not the reason I'm doing this. I'm kind of doing it just to see if it's possible, to be perfectly honest, and it'd be nice to back up my old discs before they rot. So once we've done that, we've also got to whip open the Dreamcast again because we've got a selection of LEDs to stick inside. Couldn't quite pick a colour to go inside this purple case because it don't make a purple LED, so I'm stuck between white and blue. But after we've looked at this, we'll whip open a Dreamcast and we'll stick some new LEDs in as well, and that should tie us over for this part. So let's get inside the Kaiko SD Adapter for the Sega Dreamcast and see if it will fulfill everything I want it to do. So there's our SD card reader for the Dreamcast. This particular flavour is the Kaiko one. There are many different types available on the internet. I just decided to have the Kaiko one this time. So let's get into the box and have a look what we get inside. As always, we get a lovely warranty card. This time it's a Kaiko one. It's more like a pamphlet, isn't it? Yeah. Underneath that we get the DC SD Adapter version 2. Now on the box it says this will take memory cards up to 128 gigabytes, but due to formatting restrictions on Windows 10, I don't want to have to go through that process at the moment, and I recommend, just to get it up and running nice and quick guys, you stick to anything 32 gigabytes or smaller, just to get you past the setup process. Unless you've got an old operating system on a computer somewhere, then you can format any memory card you want into FAT32. It's just Windows 10 is a nightmare, and you do need another bit of software to do that. So let's get this 32 gig one formatted and in the computer and see if we can get Dreamshell to boot from this SD card. Dreamcast. Right, so here we are on my desktop, and in order to achieve what I want to do, copying GDRoms to a SD card so I can just play them in a Dreamcast without a drive, I'll need 3 pieces of software. The first one we need to use is Dreamshell. That is what we will use to access the SD card adapter for the back of the Dreamcast so we can back up our discs onto that. Once we've done that, we'll need GDEMU to load onto an SD card to run in the modified Dreamcast, and in order to get any backed up games from this onto GDEMU, we'll need GDmenu, which is a nice easy tool for copying those files across once you've backed your discs up. It makes the whole process a lot easier than the manual process of numbering the folders and working out which one's what. So we'll start off by formatting the SD card. We have him here called card, so we'll format that. Make sure to format that in FAT32, and I would recommend doing a quick format because this takes ages. So start. lot quicker with quick format, see? If you've got the time for a normal format, by all means go and have your dinner, but I didn't. So that is our card. So now we've got our freshly formatted card. We need to get the Dreamshell files across, so we need to unzip this file. We'll just copy those straight to the SD card. This may take a while. So once all these files are done copying over, we can pop the memory card out of the computer, stick it into the SD card adapter, stick that in the back of the Dreamcast, drop our Dreamshell 4 disc in, load the machine up and see what we have. So we've got our SD card in the back in the reader, and we've got our Dreamshell 4 disc in. We'll boot the machine up and see what we get this time. It's detected the SD card in the device fine. It's loading the Dreamshell software from the SD card. And here we are. So on here we have a range of different bits of software to pick from. We've got a BIOS flasher for changing the system BIOS to a custom or a different region. File manager for accessing anything on your SD card or any connected devices, including the disk drive. GD Ripper for backing up those GDRoms. This is an important thing that I'm going to be using to aid me in my battle to back up my games collection. ISO loader is to load those disk images once you've ripped them to the SD card. Bearing in mind some games that tend to have a lot of data loaded in a short period of time do tend to suffer from lockups and stutter, but other games that don't tend to do so much load fine. But it's an interesting way of loading your games. Some of them do perform really badly because of the read speed of the serial port on the back of the machine being slower than GDRom, but it's nice enough just to have a look at those games that you maybe haven't played before. We have a region changer in there if you want to change the swirly whirler of your console. I'm sure there's more to it than that. Settings for the Dreamshell and Dreamcast system. Speed test, which I can only assume is for your internet connection. And a VMU manager, which is really useful utility for backing up, restoring and copying media to your VMU. So if you want a save file you found on the internet, you can load it onto your SD card, copy it directly onto the VMU, and away you go. So unlocking all those characters in Marvel vs. Capcom 2 isn't going to take half as long as it should do. So what we're going to do first is look at the GD Ripper software and back up one of our Dreamcast discs. So we'll load into the GD Ripper. Here we go. What I'm going to do for this first one is back up my copy of GDRom Volume 1. So the easiest way I've found to read some of your discs, particularly the older ones that are slightly scratched and battered, is to always highlight skip bad sectors and put your attempts to 0. Now if your disc is pristine, that's fine, but even the smallest imperfections can leave this reading your disc for a lot longer than it should do. Highlight where you want that backing up. In this particular case we have an SD card in the back. Read the name from the CD. And now all we need to do is press start. Bearing in mind this takes absolutely ages, so I'm going to put this on a very fast forward. So now we have our GDrom Volume 1 backed up on our SD card, done using the GD Ripper. It did take a very long time to do, but these things unfortunately do take a while. So what we're going to do is copy this to our desktop now and delete it from the card, oddly enough, because that's what I'm going to use to copy these to the SD card. What I'm going to need to do is put some software on to boot them from the SD card. So this is where GDmenu comes in. So while that's deleting, we'll open GDmenu up, and we need to copy these over to the SD card too. So So we'll just wait for that to finish deleting. And drop these files on there. It would be easier to spread this across multiple cards, but I just do not have any to spare. So that's the GDmenu portion of this done. So that now means when I put this SD card into my purple Dreamcast, it will boot from GDmenu and not Dreamshell, and we'll be able to access the games on there. The next thing we need to do is open up GDmenu Card Manager. This piece of software just makes it very, very easy to deal with all your files, to get them back and forth to the memory card and back, and it even has options in there to compress the files down so you can get more on there as well. Doesn't necessarily work with all. So what we'll need to do is extract these to a folder. And run the GDmenu Card Manager. Now sometimes when you run this for the first time you are prompted to install a .framework exe. You may do because you're on a Windows 10 machine. This is older software. So once you're in, all we need to do is click the plus in the bottom corner, navigate to our GDRom Volume 1 on the desktop, which it already has done. Select the GDI, which is the disk image, click open, and then click Save Changes, and this will add that to your SD card so it boots through the GDmenu. This again can take quite a while to do, so let's start. Now that's done, let's take the SD card out, stick it in my modified purple Dreamcast, and see what we have. If this works, it's going to be the way I'm going to back up all my discs, and it's going to take me months, but let's have a look. So let's load that up and see what we get. So here we are at the GDmenu, and we can see GDRom Volume 1 is on there. So we'll just open that up, see if our backup of that disk works. Oh yes, and there we go. So proof of my incredibly time-consuming idea to back up my discs does actually work. So I've got a big job ahead of me there with a lot of Dreamcast discs to back up, but it's just something I want to do. Not necessarily the best way to do this or the fastest way to do this, just a bit of fun I'm having. So let's see what we've got on GDRom Volume 1 and have a play on something. A movie of Virtua Fighter, movie of Sega Rally, movie of Sonic, Monaco Grand Prix 2, Ready to Rumble, Snow Surfer, UEFA, Power Stone, Tokyo Highway Challenge, Trick Style. Oh, Toy Commander, yeah. Let's have a go on Toy Commander. That takes me back. Okay. No idea what to do, but let's have a quick go. I think I've got to land on the wrong way. Oh, missed it. Let's try that again. Not a master at this game at all. I haven't played for 20 odd years. Oh, come on. Get it. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. Right, so change of plan here. Here is the packaging for the Z Labs LEDs. A little bit of apology in advance. There's no way of recovering from this. I lost an entire afternoon's filming because I got so carried away with what I was doing, I neglected to press record. So let me run you through what we've done. Here is my second attempt at fitting the LED. Not that it was a problem at my end of the deal, no, this one was purely down to a faulty LED, which I was just blissfully unwilling to accept. So here we have the blue LED that came in the kit, the one I wanted to use in the purple case. I put this on the controller board, replaced it with the other one, switched the Dreamcast on, it fired up fine, no light. So I thought, okay, perhaps my soldering's a little off. So I went back to it, reflowed the solder, made sure it was all okay, booted it up, nothing. So I don't know what was going off, so I got another board out the front of another Dreamcast, dropped this in as well. Again, system booted, LED was dead. So you know what, first one was a dud. Now we're on to the second LED. And one reason why I've got this Dreamcast sat here, and this is really disappointing. So here is the original we've removed from the Dreamcast. As you can see, it's like a clear one, but it always shines nice and orange when it's on. Okay, pop him in there with the blue one. I've now put the yellow one on this board. Okay, this has the yellow LED in it, and it's the same colour as the one I took out the machine. I mean, come on. So let's go away, hopefully try the red one, maybe see if that's any different, and we'll come back and have a look at this in a second. So we've got the red one in this system, and we're going to switch this one on now too. We'll just do that like a bit, so you can clearly see that this orange here is our yellow LED coming through. This one, our red guy. Let's power him on. And there's our red LED, guys, out the same packet from the same people. There is, I kid you not, the yellow and the red LEDs out of my Z Labs kit. Absolutely unbelievable. But there we go. So the blue one didn't work. The yellow one clearly isn't yellow. Red one clearly isn't that much more red than this yellow one is, which are both almost the same colour as the standard Dreamcast one. So I'm going to bite the bullet and I'm going to put the white one in my purple machine. And to make up for the fact that I didn't even press record to capture this in the first place, I'm going to put the green one in a spare power board I've got and see if that one's orange. Well, you never know. Maybe the white one might be orange. So let's just get this guy out for the moment. So here we are, back with my purple friend. I've now installed the white LED in the front of this one as well. Again, didn't record any of this, so we're just going through this as it happened to me. But in this case, the white one has come through, and it's actually the colour as advertised on the LED. I'll kill the lights again in a second. And to be fair, it's very bright, and it probably looks better in that case than any of the others would have done anyway, given that the little thing there on the top is white as well. So I think that's come out really well indeed. So now we've done that, I can finally go away, play on this Dreamcast, but not until we've got that green LED in my spare board. Dreamcast. So here we have our donor Dreamcast. This is going to be the one we're going to install the green LED to, being as I lost all the other footage. I've already taken the system to pieces. As you can see, I've not been in this one before. It's still got the old power supply, which is nice because it works properly. A lot of these old machines are failing. It's probably got a dead battery in it, this one. But I've gone ahead and I have taken the 4 screws out of the controller ports, unplugged the power and the ribbon cable, and all you should have to do is just rock this out of the controller ports backwards and it will lift away. Now I've had to move the power supply out of the way as this part covers the controller ports at the bottom. So we'll just pop this guy to one side as we don't need him. So now we've got our controller port board out and Johnny's there holding on to it for us. What we need to do is just look down here. There's an LED on the underside of there. So I'm going to cock this backwards just so you can see underneath there. The little LED at the top. Don't know if you can quite make him out behind there near the battery. So what we're going to do is warm the solder up one side, get the LED and just gently pull it through as that warms up. I did use the desoldering tool, the solder socket on the other one, but this is so small and so old, it did tear the contact away from one of the boards ever so slightly. I'm worried worried that I'll do the same here, so I'd rather try and get it out using this method. Okay, there's probably better ways of doing this, but seriously, these pads are so old and fragile. That is definitely one leg out. Oh, the end of my iron is just small enough to pop through the hole, so I could have done it that way. See, I just popped my iron through the holes and it dropped out. And again, I missed it on camera, flipping it. So yeah, that's popped out a lot better than the other one did, with a lot less mess. And if you're a prat like me and you can't remember which way your LED came out, because it does matter, this is why they have a long and a short leg on there. There we go. The long leg is the anode, which is the positive, and the short leg is the cathode, which is the negative, which is also indicated by a flat side on there. So on the board itself, if you just zoom in on there, you've got A and K. A for your anode and K for cathode. That's the way I take it. But that's the way it goes in. And your flat side goes there. So drop him through the holes that we've got. There we go. So he's in there. So we need to flip the board. But what I'll do first is just bend the legs slightly. Right, so we've got it flipped over. Got the legs in place. Just a bit of aid for the solder there. Probably too much aid for the solder, because I always do put too much stuff on. But who cares? It can be cleaned off at the end. Make sure that's in okay. There we go. And there's our green LED, ladies and gentlemen, sticking through the board. Is it nice and flush? So we'll just cut those legs off and clean that flux off. Drop him in the Dreamcast, and we'll have gone through all the fruity flavours, except for the blue one, which just refused to work. Dreamcast. So now we'll bring this guy back in, leaving the power supply off for now. So we need to pop this back in the front. The easiest way of doing it is to get this plug in first, which ever so fiddly just next to the fan. Then line the board port, the controller ports up at the front, drop that into position, and that'll rock there nice and happily. Pop your ribbon cable in, and then start getting these screws in the front. Next, put your power supply back on the top. Line those teeth up and drop that down. Remembering to clip it in at the side and the back. So line the back up first, push that down, and then that will clip in. I'm a little concerned that this one is missing the plastic on the inside, but I'll be able to find one of those another day. We just need to know if that is going to be green or orange. So we'll drop the top back on. I won't even bother screwing this down yet. Let's just have a quick check. Bring in a little bit of powder. Pop that in the back. Dim the lights for a drum roll, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get rid of this light. That light. That light. I love that one didn't go off. Ooh, it's dark in the Knots Cave. Very moody. I love this bench. Its colours, it's so nice. Anyway, on we go. And it's green! Oh my word! So out of this kit, 5 LEDs, I have had a dud blue, an orange yellow, an orange red, and a green green, and a white. So, it's a great kit, yeah. So we now have a green Dreamcast, a red Dreamcast, and a white one. I've left the red one in because the blue one doesn't work, and all the other ones I've removed are the same colour. But we have a green Dreamcast. Greencast. And now there's a big job in front of me to back up all these Dreamcast discs. I'll let you know in a few months' time how long that's taken to do. But there's plenty more I want to do to this Dreamcast. You can get it online nowadays as well. I've seen that, so that's a good thing I could be trying. There's plenty of other things I want to do. I want to stick a new fan in there as well. just to fully kit the Dreamcast out. Let's try and land him one more time. Come on, come on, come on, line you up nice. No, 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 no! Oh, I wasn't even saved by the jam at the end on the table. So yeah, there we go. I've been Nods Gamer. This has been my little Dreamcast project part 2. Hopefully I'll be back with the third one real soon, and a bit of an update on how long it's taking me to pack up all these GDRoms, because it's going to be taking me absolutely forever. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Please like, subscribe and share these around, and I'll definitely see you next time with some more Dreamcast stuff.